Are you someone who has ever felt like you don't belong, or perhaps that your past is too broken to be redeemed? In today's world, it's easy to feel isolated and judged. But what if I told you there was someone who sees beyond your mistakes and offers you a new beginning? Stay with me as we explore one of the most profound and transformational stories in the Bible, the story of Jesus and the Samaritan woman. This encounter at a well reveals the power of grace, acceptance, and redemption, and it might just change how you see yourself. In John 4, we encounter a powerful interaction between Jesus and a Samaritan woman. But to fully appreciate this story, we need to understand the context. You see, this woman wasn't just any ordinary woman. She was an outcast in her society. In her time, she carried a heavy burden of shame and rejection. But Jesus saw her differently. He saw her for who she truly was, someone in need of love, grace, and healing. Let's dive into this life-changing encounter. It's the middle of the day. The sun is blazing, and most people would avoid going out at this time. The well is typically a place where women from the village gather early in the morning. It's a social event, a time for chatting, for connecting, but not for the Samaritan woman. She comes alone. Why? Let's pause here for a moment. Imagine the loneliness she must have felt. In a world where community was everything, she was isolated, not just by her own choice, but by the judgment of others. She had a past, one that involved multiple failed marriages and now living with a man who wasn't her husband. In those times, people didn't hesitate to talk about each other's mistakes. They pointed fingers, cast stones, and shunned those who didn't conform to social norms. The woman didn't want to face those stares and whispers, so she came to the well at noon, the hottest part of the day. It was as if she was hoping no one would be there, hoping for a moment of solitude to avoid the cruel judgment of society. But as she approaches the well, something unexpected happens. Jesus, a Jewish man, was sitting by the well, and he asks her for a drink. Now this was unheard of. Jews and Samaritans didn't associate with each other. There was deep hostility between these two groups, a long history of mistrust and division. And men simply didn't engage in public conversations with women like this. Yet Jesus doesn't hesitate. He doesn't look at her as society sees her. He doesn't see a woman with a broken past. He sees someone in need of love. He sees someone with potential, someone who can experience redemption. And in his request for water, Jesus offers more than just a drink. He offers the possibility of a new life. The Samaritan woman is taken aback. "How is it that you, a Jew, ask me, a Samaritan woman, for a drink?" she asks in disbelief. The shock in her voice is palpable. She can't understand why a man like Jesus would reach out to someone like her. But this is where the story begins to shift. Jesus doesn't answer her question with a rebuttal. Instead, he offers her an invitation. If you knew the gift of God and who it is that asks you for a drink, you would have asked him and he would have given you living water. Now, let's pause here and reflect for a moment. Jesus isn't just offering a drink of water. He's offering something far greater. He's offering living water. This living water isn't physical. It's spiritual. It's the fulfillment of our deepest desires, the satisfaction of our souls. It's a life-giving relationship with God that quenches the thirst we all feel in our hearts. Have you ever felt like something is missing in your life? Like no matter what you do, you can never quite find peace or satisfaction? Jesus offers the answer to that longing. Just like he offered the Samaritan woman a taste of living water, he offers it to us too. The question is, are we ready to accept it? As the conversation continues, Jesus reveals a deeper truth about the woman's life. He asks her to call her husband, but she responds, "I have no husband." And then Jesus says, "You are right in saying you have no husband. The fact is, you've had 5 husbands, and the man you now have is not your husband." Can you imagine how this must have felt for her? Here was a stranger who knew everything about her past mistakes, her failed relationships. But instead of condemning her, he simply acknowledges the truth. He doesn't shame her. He doesn't criticize her. He just speaks the truth with love. Jesus sees beyond her brokenness. He sees her heart. And in that moment, he He doesn't reject her for her past. He offers her grace. And this grace, this unearned love, is what changes everything. Something incredible happens after this exchange. The woman's eyes are opened. She begins to realize that this isn't just any man speaking to her. This is the Messiah, the one who was prophesied to come and bring salvation. She says to him, "I know that Messiah is coming. When he comes, he will explain everything to us." And then, Jesus reveals to her a truth that had never been spoken so plainly before. "I, the one speaking to you, I am he." At that moment, everything changes. The woman is no longer just an outcast. She is a messenger of hope. She leaves behind her water jar, the very thing she came to the well for, and runs to her community. "Come, see a man who told me everything I ever did. Could this be the Messiah?" Her life is transformed. And not only that, her testimony begins to impact those around her. The people who once rejected her now come to see Jesus for themselves, and many of them believe because of her story. She goes from being an outcast to being a bold witness of the power of Jesus. The transformation doesn't stop with her. The people from her village, the ones who had once judged her, are now curious. They too want to meet this man who changed her life, and many of them come to believe in Jesus as the Messiah. This is a beautiful reminder of the ripple effect of grace. When we are transformed by the love of Jesus, our stories can impact others. The Samaritan woman went from hiding in shame to boldly proclaiming the good news. She became a vessel of change in her community. So what does this story teach us today? For one, no one is beyond the reach of Jesus. No matter how broken our past may be, no matter how much we've been rejected or misunderstood, Jesus sees us and loves us deeply. He offers us the living water that satisfies our souls and gives us a new purpose. The Samaritan woman's story is also a powerful reminder that God doesn't care about our past mistakes. He cares about our future. He wants to give us a new life. And just like the woman, we are called to share that transformation with others. Our story can be a light in someone else's darkness. So if you're struggling with shame, regret, or the feeling of being unworthy, know this: Jesus sees you. He offers you living water, and he invites you to be part of his story of redemption, just like the Samaritan woman. Will you accept the invitation? Thanks for watching today's video. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this story. How has the story of the Samaritan woman impacted you? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories of transformation and faith. God bless you.